irresistible stuff.
Eight days on from one of the most infamous moments in Premier League history, Liverpool arrive on the south coast looking to mark 8 years of Jürgen Klopp with a second victory of the week. 3 points in the Europa League on Thursday. Can they do the same in the Premier League this afternoon? We are at the Amex Stadium for Matchday 8 in this Premier League season. Brighton against Liverpool is a 2 o'clock kickoff. A very good afternoon to you. Welcome along to Matchday Live. We have defence and attack covered in the studio this afternoon with Neil Mellor and Phil Babb. So we just need a midfielder. Ray Houghton is at the Amex alongside Mark Benstead. Well, we'll get to Mark and Ray in just a moment. Little pause, but we will speak to Phil and Neil instead. Big week for Liverpool with everything that happened at Tottenham. I guess from a player's perspective, good to get back onto the field with a win on Thursday night and try and do the same again heading into the international break.
Yeah, exactly that. There's been a real feel-good factor about the football club, real momentum. Obviously, the disappointment, the surprise maybe of what happened last week. But the mentality is different this season. You can see it, we've refreshed in terms of the midfield, the players coming in. And we're moving forward. I think there'll be a reaction. Really think there'll be a reaction. I think the players cannot wait to get out there today. And from our point of view, I'm looking forward to seeing how they will react. Midweek against USG, we expected to win. We made 9 changes. We did enough. We weren't spectacular, but we did enough to win the game. It could have been more. But I'm really looking forward to today because I think there will be a reaction. We got hurt last week, but by the way that the game was officiated, and no way did we deserve to lose that game. I think we'll see a reaction today.
And that's actually one of the big points to take out of that Tottenham game is that obviously everyone else in the world was talking about the goal that should have stood, but actually the courage and the character shown by 9 men to get so close to a point that Liverpool really would have deserved was a big sign of where this team is at.
I think that's the blow, and it'd be interesting to see if Matip plays, how he reacts. I'm sure Jürgen and everyone would have embraced him. He'd done heroically up until the catastrophic own goal. But yeah, it's been part of our DNA this season that even going a goal behind, we have shown some grit and determination to get back into games and bounce back. And the grit and determination shown with 9 men against a very hostile partisan Spurs crowd, tough place to go, good players, team in form to hold out for so long shows how good we are playing this season.
Right, let's get this another crack, shall we? The Amex, Ray Houghton and Mark Benstead.
Thank you, Rob. Yeah, it's a glorious day down on the south coast today, but it wasn't that glorious when Ray and I were here last January for the last league visit. Jürgen Klopp said he struggled to think of a worse performance during his time as manager. What went wrong for Liverpool that afternoon?
Absolutely everything. From the first whistle to the last whistle, it was just a really poor performance. We didn't attack the game in the right way. Defensively, we were poor. Midfield, we had no real options. Didn't really look a threat up front either. Credit Brighton. I thought they came out with a really positive attitude. They were the ones that really dictated the pace of the game, got the goals at the right time, and eventually they were comfortable winners. For Jürgen Klopp, I think that was that moment, the line in the sand, I would call it, where he looked at the squad and thought, I need to change things up. I need to move some players on, bring in fresh blood. We've had a really good end to the season and a very, very good start to this season.
Yeah. Looking into the match programme here, Roberto De Zerbi, the Brighton boss, says his side aren't where he wants them to be. Well, where are they at in your eyes?
Yeah, well, he wants perfection. I think he wants 7 wins out of 7. Listen, look, they've won 5 games in the league so far out of the 7 games that they've played. They've only lost once here against West Ham 3-1, and they lost last time out against Aston Villa 6-1. Maybe that affected the way he was thinking at the moment, but overall they've been very, very good. Problem they might have as the season goes on is Europe. You know, when you're playing Thursday, Sundays, you're looking at your squad. Is the depth strong enough? That'll be a question you'll have to answer over the coming months. And the window opens in January, and that might be an opportunity for him to go out and strengthen the squad. But I'm really looking forward to today's game, Mark, because you've got 2 exciting sides. Both teams can score goals, has been proven so far in this season. and Liverpool will be looking for a little bit of revenge because of what happened not only in the league but in the FA Cup as well when we lost here.
Yeah, you're looking forward to it. I'm still emotionally scarred from that last league visit. Team news from both camps on the way very shortly.
Great stuff, gentlemen. Thank you very much. Well worth the wait, that, wasn't it, from Mark and from Ray down there. It was interesting that Mark sort of joked at the end of that, saying we're still emotionally scarred from last week. But the players can't afford to be like that. And as you said, you don't expect them to be.
No, not at all. We've seen the mentality really strong under Jürgen Klopp, and there'll be no doubt about it, it's gone. We can't change what's happened, and it'll be a focus to go, right, OK, this is another really tough game. Brighton have been going well this season. A very attacking side. We're going to have to make sure that we're at it defensively, but we can cause them problems going forward. So the mentality will be, let's sign off before international duty by getting the 3 points at a very tough place to go to.
It's interesting, we're going to talk a little bit later on about Brighton maybe struggling with the demands of European football for the first time going Thursday, Sunday, whereas it seems actually it almost helps Liverpool that they're almost changing an entire team and able to get through games. I know that the manager wouldn't say it, but maybe with a couple of gears to spare against the likes of Lask and Uni and Sangiloise, as we saw on Thursday night.
Absolutely, and the fact is our squad is better. We are well equipped to handle the demands, as we know that Brighton aren't. The first taste in Europe. They made some changes. We expect to see some of their mainstays come back in today. But again, I feel, and certainly concur with Mel's, that this is a big chance to bounce back from what happened last weekend to get our Premier League aspirations back on track. And I think you want the big test. You want team to beat teams that are on form, to go away from home, create chances, and take the 3 points. And I think we can do it.
Yeah, I think a big factor is the Europa League. Now, we've made 9 changes in that last game against USG. We made 11 changes in Matchday 1. We can't do that in the Champions League, and we've not been able to do that in the Champions League. So all of a sudden you get a chance to really give the squad players, the fringe players, an opportunity so that if you do get injuries, you do get suspensions, they're then up to speed to come into the side. Whereas I think Brighton, it's a completely new experience for them in Europe. It's a tough group, you know, Athens, Marseille, Ajax, all the best trying to get out of that one. The intensity of their game on Thursday away at Marseille was a lot higher than the intensity of our performance. So I'm thinking they only made 5 changes, we made 9. Real chance for us to go at them, and that's the big test. And we don't know how they'll answer that this season, Brighton, but how they'll respond to that those European games.
Brighton are also another interesting example of the fact that for so many years we've spoken about it being the big 6, and now there are other clubs trying to elbow their way into that. Newcastle being one, Brighton being another, Villa maybe being another, and the 2 others, Newcastle and Villa, Liverpool have put in very different but really impressive performances to beat both already.
Absolutely. You know, you talk about those teams' aspirations, well, they got you'd say they've got deeper pockets than we have. What we have is success over 8 years of Jürgen's reign so far. So we're better equipped to play against teams like that. And those Brighton, they're not there. I think Brighton have found a happy place. They're playing a lovely brand of football that everyone, the neutrals, love and enjoy. But yeah, I expect Brighton to do all right this season. I don't expect them to do all right today, though.
No. To back up last season is a big ask, isn't it? You know, the fact that they have got European football, that's unbelievable for the football club. They've lost key players. You know, we've taken one of them, McAllister. They've lost Casado as well. So you're thinking, I'm not sure if they are stronger this season or not to really challenge again. The manager is one of the best and most touted about in Europe. How long is he going to stick about at Brighton for? And that's the worry for Brighton. If they are to stay consistently with the top 5-6 teams, they've got to keep the best players and the best manager. And I think that's very difficult for them to do.
So as we head into the second international break then, even now, what would represent a good season for Liverpool and for Brighton?
Well, for us, to get back Champions League football, so that's top 4, 5, obviously that could be a thing, and to compete with Man City and to win a trophy, that's sort of basics, isn't it, for us? For Brighton, top half of the Premier League would be classified, I think, as a good season, and an outside chance of pushing for a European place. I think a trophy would be a big ask for Brighton, but possible. I know they're out of the League Cup, but maybe an FA Cup run could be something for them as well to get excited about. But I think for a lot of teams in the Premier League, it's staying in the Premier League, trying to build on it, and try and close that gap a little bit to the top sides, which is so difficult.
On that point about competing with City, do you think Liverpool are in that sort of place from what you've seen in the first few games?
Absolutely. Take last weekend's result out of it. Yeah, why not? I think we should have won the opening game against Chelsea. And apart from that, we've shown signs. Yes, people will go, oh yeah, we'll keep coming back from conceding a goal. Well, that's a sign of a team that can win championships, can win trophies, because they show, all right, then the back's against the wall. Let's go get the points or get the win.
All right, well, we know from what happened at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium last week that there are a few players certainly unavailable to Jürgen Klopp this afternoon. Let's find out what team he has selected with Ray and with Mark.
Thank you, Rob. I guess the big question coming into today's game was how would Jürgen Klopp line up his midfield? And I can tell you he's opted to put in Harvey Elliott there. He makes his first Premier League start since the game against Spurs in April. There are 6 changes in total from the game in midweek against USG. The Reds line up then as follows. It's Alisson Becker in goal. Trent Alexander-Arnold is in at right back. It's Joel Matip, Virgil van Dijk and Andy Robertson to complete the back 4. Alexis McAllister, Dominic Szoboszlai, Harvey Elliott are the 3 in midfield. And as expected, it's Luis Diaz, Mo Salah and Darwin Núñez as the front 3. On the bench, it's Adrian, Gomez, Endo, Kanati, Simicas, Gravenberg, Chambers, Doak and Kwanzaa. Ray Houghton is pitch side with me once again. Well, I guess midfield is where to start. What do you think he's looking for by putting Harvey in from the off today?
Well, I think Harvey knows the position, he knows the club, and I think he's just gone with players who he knows at the moment. Gravenberg, I thought, done well on Thursday. From what I've seen of him, I've been impressed with his performances so far. But maybe the manager feels, playing against the Brighton side, he might have to try and dominate that area of the field, because that's where they were really weak in the last game out against Aston Villa. They got dominated that area of the field, so I think that's something the manager will be looking at. Probably spoke to McAllister as well. Alexis would know this Brighton side inside out, so if you need any information on who might be the best players to play in that midfield, you probably lent in on him a little bit to find out his thoughts about it. I think it's a very purposeful team, very solid team, and expecting big things from him today. I think with Trent coming in, nothing against Joe Gomez, I think Joe done well in the time he was in the side. But when Trent plays as that inverted fullback, comes in that central position, all of a sudden you've got your strikers making runs in behind, because look, they know that ball is going to be delivered in there. When Joe plays in there, the passes are a lot shorter, and that's when we come deeper to get involved in the build-up play, and we're not as effective when we play that way. We need to stretch the opposition. When you look at the back line of Brighton, or whoever it is, I think there's a weakness there when it comes to pace. They haven't got genuine pace, probably in the central positions. So I'm expecting Núñez today, Diaz coming in from the left-hand side into a more central position at times, and with Mo Salah as well. Mo holds it a little bit more on the right, but he'll be encouraged to come in field a little bit as well. So there's really good options in the midfield area as far as creativity, direction, where we're going to go when we've got the ball, but also up front, players that can run in behind and stretch the opposition. So he looks good.
We didn't do enough of that running in behind last time we came here. Darwin Núñez's selection was kind of a given the options he had available, but he could be massive today, could he not?
Yeah, he could. I mean, to be fair, Mark, the last time we played it didn't matter what we did, everything was wrong on that particular day. Maybe just the attitude wasn't quite right, but this is a different Liverpool. We've seen that last weekend against Spurs when they went down to 9 men. I'll tell you what a performance that was. When we just came into nice and solid, not doing anything silly, keeping your positions, and unfortunately we lost it with a late goal, the OG, which we couldn't do an awful lot about. But I really was impressed with the attitude of the players last week, and they're going to need that today, because this is a good Brighton side. This will be a full house today. Brighton fans are coming here with real belief because of the way they've started the season, the way that they can play. They're a very exciting team to watch, but we've got to start dominate that midfield, get the ball forward quickly, and start getting Darwin Núñez where he's at his very, very best, which is running in behind the opposition's back line. When he does that and he stretches them, he's a top player.
Just finally, you mentioned the own goal last week that ultimately cost us. How important was it that he kept faith with Joel Matip this week, because he has played so well in that game in particular?
Yeah, I mean, the good news for the manager though, he's got Kanati coming back fit and healthy as well, so he's got options. And as a manager, you love that. You want competition for places, and certainly Jürgen's got it. Don't forget young Kwanzaa as well. He's not let anyone down in the games that he's been involved. But the manager is coming to a stage of the season where he knows he needs to get wins. He needs to get back on that winning trail again after the defeat against Tottenham. It's been such a good run since April. They only lost to Man City, I think it was the 1st of April. Then no defeats in the league to the Tottenham game last Saturday. Now he'll want to get 3 points today.
That's right. There you go, guys. That's the details of Liverpool's starting lineup. We'll run through the Brighton side in a few minutes' time.
Chaps, thank you very much indeed. Just to pick up on that final point that Mark was making there with Ray about keeping faith with Joel Matip. He's a defender, and that happens every once in a while. You score the odd own goal, as you can attest to, that
Just one.
Just
the one.
exactly. That's what I said. The odd own goal, but just the one. But it's unfortunate. He doesn't quite sort his feet out. But as I said, it's about judging players over the 90 minutes of their performance rather than just one moment at the end of a game.
He was brilliant up to then, and we can't pat him on the back enough about how well he defended up to that point. And he showed signs of class that he showed last year. He's been a little bit hit and miss, but the manager trusts him. You know, when he's on, he very rarely gets beaten. He can bring the ball out of defence and contribute to attacking as well. He's a class defender on his day. We just need to keep him fit and full of confidence.
Can I say, I think it's brilliant man management. If you've conceded a last-minute winning own goal, you need your manager to back you. And the manager has gone, what's happened's happened, don't worry about it, you're back in next game. Canate and Quanta played Europa League, got the game time there to keep up to speed. So I'm made up to see that he's gone with Matthew. That's top man management for me.
Front three looks exciting.
Yeah, expected, wasn't it? I mean, it's a big blow that Gakpo's out injured. He's featured in every game so far this season. Jota as well, but it was as we expected. And that's the big difference. You know, we went down to Brighton and we didn't have a lot of attacking options. I think it was Gakpo's first game. Salah played. There wasn't a great deal to help them. Whereas you've got Diaz, who's been in really good form. He scored down here, of course, when he got cleaned out by the goalkeeper. Remember that one? But also Szoboszlai from midfield. So I'm looking at the attack and going, yes, really like that. I still can't get my head around that Jota's not involved. How can a panel say, yes, it's the wrong decision, but you get a game ban? But again, that's one of those things we have to deal with. But yeah, that there is goals, that there is movement in behind. I think Nunes has really improved the defensive side of the game without the ball this season. So yeah, I'm looking at that and saying we can cause Brighton a lot of problems. The only surprise was Harvey Elliott, because we didn't know who would replace Curtis Jones. Would it be Endo? He took him off at half-time. I think a lot of people probably thought it must be Endo starting. Gravenberch did brilliantly in Europe the other night and has done very well in the game time he's had. But Harvey's done really well when called upon it off the bench. You know, his first Premier League start of the season. So, yeah, it was one of three and he's gone with Harvey.
I think the energy from Harvey at the start of the game and the passion, commitment he gives helps drive and set a tempo. If we need to tinker, or the gaffer needs to tinker, you know you've got the quality of Gravenberch coming off. You know, you can even bring Endo on and push McAllister a little bit further up if needs be. So there's plenty of options there for the gaffer. But as you mentioned at the start, the front three, they are primed to get in behind a very high and aggressive pressing Brighton side. And if we can get McAllister on the ball and he can start spraying it about, look out Brighton.
I think Elliott will help out as well with Matoma on that left-hand side. He'll get back. Obviously, Trent, we think, will come into that midfield role at times as well, and Harvey can defensively get back and help on that side. Just a point on McAllister, actually. He goes back to his former club today where he had so many happy memories. Is it ever difficult as a player when you get, as I would expect down at Brighton, quite a nice reception, and you almost can get yourself going a bit more if everyone's sort of chucking everything at you and booing you every time you touch the ball? Yeah, I think he appreciates what Brighton was in his career. I think we appreciate what Brighton gave McAllister. He got to understand what the Premier League was all about at Brighton and has developed into a fantastic player. Will get a great reception, but he's a top player because he can close all that off. He can go, right, I'm here for Liverpool today. Brilliant, I've had their memories. I'll thank the fans before the game and after the game, but I'm here to do a job for Liverpool. And that's why he's going to be a top player. He's won the World Cup with Argentina, he's in the Argentina national team. That mentality is a real strength he has. And as a player, you've just got to close all that off, and I think he'll do that today.
You've been very respectful about the Brighton fans, aren't you?
Well, they're a nice bunch. I mean, it's not a ground where you think, God, this is going to be a really hostile day.
They are quite civilised, but I still expect him to get booed a number of times he's on the ball.
Just another point about the midfield. Ryan Gravenberch has either scored or assisted in 3 Liverpool starts so far. How impressed have you been with him?
Like him. Yeah, really like him. Obviously, he was outstanding at Ajax. Went to Bayern, didn't quite work out for him. Bought a player that's been on the radar for a while. Great energy in midfield. Can give us a lot going forward as well in terms of the assists, in terms of the goals. So I'm really excited to see how he develops. I think the Europa League's big for him. You know, we've seen him get that game time. Rather than being thrown straight into the Premier League, deal with that. I think it helps him settle in a little bit more. So, yeah, I think there's a big future for him. And at times, he's just sort of holding the reins. Your time will come. He's desperate to play, isn't he? And I'm sure he'd have been desperate to play. Brilliant the other night, but his time will definitely come.
Right, if you're watching us on social media, you are about to leave us. Let's just tell you what is coming up over the course of the afternoon. First up, 2 o'clock live audio commentary, Steve Hunter and John Aldridge. And then 4 o'clock, Aldo will be alongside Neil for all of the reaction interviews from down at the Amex as well. Then later on, highlights, 6 o'clock on LFC TV Go. And then you can watch the full match both on TV and on Go from midnight. Then tomorrow on our YouTube and Facebook channels, you'll be able to see inside Brighton for all the behind-the-scenes access down on the South Coast. We are going to take a quick break. Quick reminder, if you want to subscribe, liverpoolfc.com/watch, all the details. And that is inside the dressing room, which was an unhappy place for Liverpool on their 2 trips to Sussex by the Sea last season. Can the Reds return with maximum points this time round?